The Life Changer, Chapter 1 continues. That would not be fair. It is also not fair to push your teachers beyond what they know. They are the ones who act as if they know everything, Mommy. When our conversation got that animated, my children seemed to forget that I was also a teacher. I never bothered reminding them. The spontaneity of the discussion was what made it interesting. And if you attempted to interrupt, you would destroy the flow of the discussion. Tima, my second child, opened her mouth to say something and paused. Just then, there was this loud knock on the door. Before he was asked to come in, Omar pushed open the door and jumped on me. I made it, Mom. I made it. His sisters all stood up as one and began asking, What did you make? I made it to the university, dears. Bent, your big brother, is a university student. They screamed and shouted and ululated. The news came as a pleasant surprise to them, and especially to me. Nobody knew where Omar was going when he left home early that morning. To say the truth, he was looking rather anxious when he came to greet me in the morning. He was dressed in blue jeans and white shirt. His skin-cut hairstyle contrasted beautifully with the sideburns which he kept clean and trim. He had always been a precocious child. To look at him, you would think he was well into his twenties. But Omar was just 18. My singular thrill with Omar was that he was always decently dressed and clean. This pleased me beyond measure. Now, I was even more pleased when he thrust the admission letter from Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board to me. The board was popularly known by its acronym JAMB. JAMB. Indeed, even at my time, it was not inconceivable that there were some undergraduate students who never knew what the acronym stood for. Let's alone now. Anyhow, I took the letter and read it. My son was given admission to study law at the Congo campus of Amadou Bello University, Zaire. This was exhilarating. This was all his father dreamt of. My husband had wanted to read law himself, but Providence dictated he read accounting. Big bros, what course did they give you? Tima, my first daughter, and therefore Omar's immediate younger sister asked. Look here, young lady, call me with respect. To you and everybody in this house, except mom and dad, of course, all of you should now call me my learned brother. In the school, we call each other my learned colleague. So since you're not my colleagues, you call me my learned brother. Indeed, this is called running before learning to crawl. Tima laughed. Can you hear yourself? Jamila said to her brother. Just call yourself Omar Esquire. Tima said, Mom, your daughters are plain jealous. Indeed, Tima managed to master all the affectionate sarcasm in that single word. Big bros, congratulations, Ben said, turning to her brother to give him a hug. Thank you, my dear. For you, there is an exception. Call me whatever you want. But those belligerent sisters of yours, let me just catch them calling my name anyhow. We will take them to court. They all burst into laughter. Wow, I'm really so happy for you. Let your father come on. There should be a grand celebration today, I said tactlessly. I knew my utterance was tactless because as soon as I said that, my face was besieged by 8 expectant ears, all wanting to know what I had in mind and how the celebration was going to be and when. First, let us wait for your father's return. He closes at 5 o'clock in the evening and arrives home later. You know that is the only bank in this community. It's okay, Mom, but tell your children, especially that blabbermouth called Tima, that nobody should tell Dad about this admission before me, Omar said. Why is that? I asked. He promised to upgrade my touchlight phone to a smart Android phone. That's not true, Mom, Timur said. There is no way Daddy would promise him smartphone while he leaves us with this touchlight phone. Timur's protest elicited such laughter that for a moment I forgot what the bickering was about. Mom, you see plain jealousy. Envy. That's what's stopping Tima from growing tall. I allow them to chastise one another a while before ruling that whatever their father's decision would be, either on the celebration or on the purported phone purchase, would have to wait till the owner of the house arrived. All I asked is that nobody should rush to tell him beforehand. Omar repeated his request. Okay, I said. Nobody would be the one to tell him first. As soon as he arrives, you would go and tell him the good news yourself. Thank you, Mom. You're welcome, Omar. The room was getting stuffy because we did not turn on the fan. What was I saying? We did not have light for 2 days now, and the generator was in need of repairs. Let's go outside and sit under the mango tree in the courtyard. Jamila said, wrenching the words out of my mouth. It is very hot in here. We trooped out and went to the courtyard. White plastic chairs were already there, and Bint and Jamila began dusting them with an old piece of clothing. Mommy, yes, Bint, what's it? I want to drink Zobo. I can buy that for everybody, Omar said. Tima, bring 5 bottles of Zobo. Bring the money first. Omar turned to look balefully at me. You see, Mom, Tima does not even trust me. I just sat there, smiling. When it comes to money, Omar, Tima said, do you, even you, do you trust yourself? I sure do. How many times did you take my Zobo without paying? That was different. I was not an undergraduate then. Now you're talking to a potential lawyer. See, young girl, you'd better watch it. You could be in trouble one day and your only brother here would be called upon to defend you. I would remind you of this day. Believe me. Tima, go and get the Zobo, I said. I would pay. Thank you, Mom. By this time, Baines and Jamila were done cleaning the chairs. We sat as close to each other as the white plastic chairs would allow and waited for Tima to bring the Zobo. There was a very joyous atmosphere in the air and nobody wanted it to spoil. Then all of a sudden Ben said, Mommy, tell us a story. Before I could answer, Timo was back with 5 bottles of Zobo on a plastic tray and squatted to serve us. That got me thinking. Baint wanted me to tell them a story, but it was A different story that came to my mind. Omar was going to a new environment. Until now, he had been ensconced in this Lafayette community of ours. He was going to town. The university was a civilized community different from ours.